to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets.
All right. Well, look at this. It seems like yesterday we were speculating, Gunny. We were just talking about all these guys we liked and didn't like, and we got a guy, the guy you wanted. So, hey, it's not a bad day for Gunny. And let's talk about all that stuff. Welcome to the Thursday Thick of It. I'm GreenBean, and like I mentioned, that right there is my buddy Gunny. Dom C will be here in a few moments. He's here. Look at there he is. Let's say hello to Dom C's here too. Look at this.
Better late than never, right?
Right, and barely late. I wouldn't even call that late.
I apologize, man. I'm all you parents out there, when you got 2 parents and 3 kids, it's a shuffle of trying to get people where they need to be for this, that, and the other thing. So,
yep,
I'm here.
It's your own damn fault. I got no sympathy.
I know. I should have been like the Jets.
Or actually, I am like game is weak, Dom.
3 and out.
That pull-out game is weak.
Right. Gunny's like 3 kids, please.
Yeah.
Try 4.
What do they say? They say somebody asks, what's it like having a 4th kid? He said, imagine you're drowning and someone hands you a 4th kid.
That sounds about right.
That's
pretty accurate.
So funny, man.
So real quick,
man, how you doing, buddy? How you wait, what'd you say?
Just to bring it up, what you mentioned earlier about Wikipedia, there's also a Sports Illustrated article about it. I'm reading it right now.
All right, we'll talk about that. Well, first tell everybody how you're doing. What's going on, buddy? You feeling good?
Me or Dom?
You.
I'm feeling great. I think the Aaron Glenn aspect was the going to be the route I felt pretty confident about it. Once Ben Johnson and a lot of these high octane offensive coordinators were either denying interviews or weren't being brought in, I felt like the second best option that the Jets did interview in this rotation was definitively Aaron Glenn. I do believe Mike Vrabel was the best option in this particular rotation, but Aaron Glenn wasn't far behind. When he expressed that he wanted to be here as well, that kind of sold me on it, especially when you're seeing other head coaches who are supposed to be alpha personalities or alpha type men running away from the New York because they're afraid of the big bad wolf that is the fan base, the owner. So seeing those guys run away because they don't believe in themselves enough to come in here and be the cause of change, I was really excited that Aaron Glenn looked at it. He's a big dog in the building, and he told those other guys to just stay on the porch. So I'm happy about it, man. I'm happy about it. I think Aaron Glenn brings with him a prestige and a level of respect that's it's earned, demanded. This is a guy who's played in the NFL for 14 years, 15 years. You know, he was a multi-time Pro Bowler. He was an All-Pro, 12th overall pick. He came back as a scout for the New York Jets. So he's already kind of been through the motions, I think, in terms of establishing himself as a serious dude. So immediately, I think in the locker room, he demands respect because he's been there. He understands what you guys are going through, and I think that's going to be different from what we've seen. Not to mention, man, he's getting the praises of guys like Bill Parcells, Sean Payton, even Dan Campbell. He's a guy who's going to go ahead and hold these guys accountable, which is something we haven't really seen with the last regime. We've sat there numerous times hearing them talk about how they had great practices and never saw it translate to the field, how, hey, they're jumping off sides or undisciplined, and Coach Saleh talking about, like, these are grown men. We're going to keep doing what we've been doing, no accountability. I just feel like with Aaron Glenn, it ain't going to be the case. He's going to hold individuals accountable. He's going to expect these guys to do their jobs. I think it's going to be a refreshing change of pace for us. I'm pumped.
I like it. I know the solid thing with they don't need to be talked to. They're grown men. That's one of my. That was like among, if not the major rub.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, dude, you don't know. You're light years in left field for me.
Yep, he didn't get it.
Dom, Gunny's excited about it. I haven't talked to you too much about this Aaron Glenn thing. How are you feeling overall about him being the guy and all that stuff?
Listen, I've been pretty upfront and vocal. I have my reasons why I was really, really pushing and wishing for an offensive-minded head coach. Yeah. But the decision has been made. you know what? I'm gonna hold. I like Aaron Glenn. I think he can be a fine head coach. I just personally, I don't know if this situation right here, right now, with everything that we've been through, how like just wash, rinse, and repeating first time defensive coordinators as head coaches again was the right fit for him. I'm not upset about it. Like I said, I'm gonna hope he does well. Aaron Glenn was one of the first Jets that actually made me cry. So
why? What happened?
That
bastard. What did he do to you?
That fake spike that Mark Ingram caught. That was on Aaron Glenn.
That was on a rookie Aaron Glenn, by the way.
Rookie Aaron Glenn. Yeah, that made me shed a tear. So he has a lot of splaining to do. He's got a lot of he's got a lot to kind of work back to get in my good graces. No, seriously, I don't know, man. I wish that the process would have led us down a path of really taking a shot on something that we haven't done in a long time, right? Since Bruce Coslett, we haven't hired a first-time offensive coordinator. That's really the path I wanted to see. I was willing to say right here, right now, what do we have to lose? Another losing season, another missed playoff? Like, take the shot. I would have rather gone for a guy maybe a year early in hopes that you hit one out of the park like the Rams did with McVay, like the Eagles did with Andy Reid back in the day, and like Minnesota did with KOC. But I digress because that's not the path they have. I'll support them. I'll root for the Jets, and I'll root for Aaron Glenn to be successful. I think that his staff selections are going to be vital. So that's where we stand.
All right. Yeah. That fake spike, a rookie Aaron Glenn. I was at that game. Were you at that game?
I was at that game. I was.
Yeah. I remember we were leading like 24-6 in the fourth quarter. We were dancing in the stands, first place.
Yeah. I went. So my best friend growing up, my closest friend in the world, his uncle was like one of the equipment managers for the Dolphins. So we always would go together to the he's a Dolphins fan, and and Dan Marino was his idol, and we'd always go when Dolphins came into town every year. And man, that one hurt. We got him back though. I got him back with the Monday Night Miracle.
Yeah, that was good.
That
was a good one.
Yeah.
But Aaron Glenn's had quite the path since then. And you bring something up. The coordinator hires are going to be very, very important. Now, I don't know if you guys know that it's like you go on Wikipedia here and it says that, like, I just looked for some articles. Gunny said he just found one, but
yep.
The only place I could see anything is that when you go to Steve Wilkes' Wikipedia page, it's pretty committed to the fact that he's the Jets defensive coordinator right about now. Mm-hmm. So it seems that Aaron Glenn went out there. First thing he did, we were hoping, all right, look, we got a defensive rookie head coach again. Nail down this offense. Well, he went right in company line, so to speak, made sure we got our defensive coordinator. First things first, defense, baby. And so Steve Wilkes is the guy. Gunny, we were looking before. Look at his resume, everybody, just so you know. When you look at these guys and they're like, you like Dom said, you're taking a swing on somebody maybe a year early. It's like you just I can see it in him. It doesn't have the resume, but I can see the talent kind of thing. That is not Steve Wilkes. Steve Wilkes from 1995 has been doing this thing. Look at this resume, dude. It just keeps going and going. And now here he is. So he's been a head coach, an interim head coach, a defensive coordinator, a defensive backs coach. He's been everything.
Yep.
And I think that's good for a guy like Aaron Glenn. I think that's one of the wise moves you'd like to see. A guy who is new, bring in somebody, have somebody on your staff that's been there, done that.
Yep.
Just to kind of balance it out. Now, I don't want to see that on the offensive side of the ball. I'll shoot straight. I'm hoping it's a newer offensive. I would love to see our offense kind of come on into the 21st century. That's really what I want to see. Gunny, who's your guy? Who do you got your eyes on? Who's your love affair? Who you hoping the Jets bring in for OC?
I right now, man, I think it's Kubiak. I think Kubiak being in the conversation has really drawn my attention. I think bringing him in, you're immediately demanding a respectable offense. And I think Kubiak, coupled with in the aggressive nature of what Aaron Glenn's going to bring with him from what he learned with the Detroit Lions under Dan Campbell, that aggressive aspect in regards to operating that offense, I think we're going to see some fun football. I really do. If Kubiak winds up being the guy, I think we have a lot to be excited about. But if it's not him, I think for me, you sold me on Mark Brunell. I know Josh McCown. I was really high on him being the OC, but it sounds like he may or may not be interested in an OC position. If that's the case, Mark Brunell, I think, is an exciting option to bring into the building as well. A guy with a lot of football. He's played a lot of football. He's coached a lot of football as well. Coming from the Lions, I think is going to be a big add. You could bring in with him the mentality of being aggressive on offense. He's seen what the running game is supposed to look like. He's seen what the passing game is supposed to look like. So I'm intrigued about what Brunell could potentially do also as an OC for us. Ideally, you bring in Kubiak. I would love if it was Josh McCown. I would love it. I think you have him in the weeds in case the Aaron Glenn thing doesn't work out. You at least know you've got your guy in the building already, since he did get an interview to be the head coach with the Jets. So I would love it to be McCown. But for me, I think it might wind up being Kubiak or Brunell.
Kubiak is an interesting name. I like Brunell.
And it's funny because I really push for Nick Caley.
Well, I was going to say there's another name in the mix, and I was going to throw it to Dom. See, I had a sneaking suspicion that Dom was going to lead that way. Tell us a little bit about Caley and what you like about him.
Well, we talked about those younger, innovative, kind of 21st century type offensive minds, and I think that's exactly what Nick Caley can bring. Now, there's grumblings amongst the NFL circles that he's by far, if you polled a lot of coaches for prospective guys who could take that jump, that he would be number one on the list for most part. I think he's, I love the fact that he's gotten to sit and learn from Sean McVay. That means something to me, that guy just knows offense in and out. So there's that excitement, like that tied in with it. I know that, there's been grumblings about, I think it's Todd Haley, the old Chiefs head coach, that would be brought in as a senior assistant or senior advisor for Glenn on the offensive side. Like, this could be kind of that young home run swing type of offensive mind that could really make me kind of warm and fuzzy to the whole idea of Aaron Glenn and the staff. Now, to that same point, Caley, if he's successful, he's also a guy that probably you're going to look to have to replace in 2 years, right? Which is really why I was hammering home that I wanted an offensive-minded head coach, because at least your scheme and your offense would kind of stay put, right?
Right.
So, I'm leaning towards Caley, but I don't know if you saw, or you got my tweet up here, but I don't know if I don't know.
Dom C tweet, everybody.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the Liam Cohn news that's going on.
Well, he was like out of the running for the Jaguars job, and now he's back.
So here's what happened in a nutshell. Yesterday, he told the Jaguars, "No, I'm not interested. I'm going to stay put with Tampa Bay." Tampa Bay offered him a 3-year deal and would have made him the highest paid offensive coordinator. And the only caveat was that he wouldn't take any other interviews. So, Jacksonville, Shad Khan down there, got, I guess, with his, brain trust. And they said, listen, no one's going to come work for Trent Baalke. So what do? They fired Trent Baalke. They called Liam Cohen directly. Shad Khan called Liam Cohen directly and said, listen, reopen this. We will let you pick your GM, and we will pay you Ben Johnson level money. That's factual. That is truly sourced. So He's looks like he's going to be the next Jacksonville coach, and that scares me because he's got a working relationship with Nick Caley. They were, they both learned under McVay, so on and so forth. So if Caley is the guy, the Jets and Aaron Glenn better move fast to lock him in. Now, somebody mentioned somebody mentioned that maybe Caley wants to call plays. He won't call plays for Tampa Bay. I don't know if that's the case or not. And I don't know how much of a leg Aaron Glenn really has to stand on when it comes to that. So Caley would be the option I'd go to. I think that would excite me for the young weapons that we have in Brees and Garrett. I would be fine with Kubiak as well. Brunell's interesting. I'm not going to say he's not. I know he's obviously got ties. I think he was a Jet for 1 or 2 years, right, as a backup, if I'm not mistaken. I know he's got ties with Aaron Glenn, but he also hasn't called plays before. So, I just want it done. Let's get this. Let's get this thing, over and done with. And I see somebody in the chat, Sean Kenny, saying Salah's going to Jacksonville. Not the case. Diana Rossini surprisingly comes out with a tweet today and says, sources have told me Robert Saleh never got on the plane to go to Jacksonville because he found out that this stuff was happening. So now at least we know who Rossini's source in One Jets Drive was. It was Saleh himself.
It was Saleh all along.
Right?
Yeah. No,
How
that makes
crazy
sense.
is that? How crazy
That
is that?
makes sense.
Isn't that funny though?
It's absolutely like, what's so funny? And listen, I don't know if Saleh was really the leak. I'm assuming that is the case, or somebody very close with Saleh who was feeding Rossini all this stuff. But it's Joe Douglas comes in and says, we're going to eliminate all the leaks. Aaron Rodgers comes in and says, we got to get rid of all these leaks. And the leaks was the one who was calling all the shots at the top of the food chain there. How freaking crazy.
And then he gets fired week 5.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they were talking about. They got rid of Rex Hogan. They thought it might be him, and the leaks kept happening. And then they said, there he is.
Unbelievable.
He's the
right?
leak.
Unbelievable.
He's Fredo. He Fredo'd us. But so look, I think it's interesting. I would be excited about Caley too. I just want a 21st century offense.
Yeah.
That's really all I'm rooting for here. And I think we got to get this right, man. I was joking about it on Tuesday night. What if they just cut? What if Aaron Glenn goes, I had a really great talk with Aaron Rodgers. We think we're going to bring him back. And I see look, continuity's king. I see no reason. He spoke very highly of Nathaniel Hackett. And I think we're going to keep him and Clark. Would that change your feelings on Aaron Glenn, Gunny?
Oh my God, yes. If Aaron Glenn keeps the same offensive staff in the building, I think we already know the answer of whether or not he's going to be the guy.
Right.
Listen, I know he got a 5-year contract, and a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, it's 5 years." As Jets fans, we've seen so much bad football. We're going to know by the end of year 1 if we've got a legitimate head coach or not.
He got paid
take
too.
us 3 years. He got paid. He got paid.
The rumor is $10 million to keep him from getting on that plane to New Orleans. $10 million a year. They paid Saleh 5.5.
$10 million. 4 years later.
That's crazy.
Well, hey, it's been a rough 4 years. We had some serious inflation, so it sounds about right. It's the same.
Yeah,
money.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's a good point. You know what I'm
Got
saying?
to pay for groceries.
He's got to buy eggs.
E-Boogie, though, he's asking about, look, the GM is another thing we got to talk about. But Dorsey, I'm going to tell you, look, I think a lot of us, myself included at least, love the idea of Dorsey, but he was never a part of the mix, E-Boogie.
Doesn't seem like it.
So I'd say no. I'd say very little.
It was weird that Dorsey and what's the other guy? Ray Agnew. They didn't even get mentioned in any of these GM searches.
Which is ridiculous to me.
Well, it could just be like they both said, look, we're not interested. I'm totally happy where I am, which is very possible because the fact that nobody sniffed around the door, it seems like that could be it. Maybe they're just, this isn't the year. They're like, I'm not in the mood to move right now. I don't want to do it. I have a stressless job right here. I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. So I don't know, E-Boogie. I don't think that's the way. But let me ask you guys about the GM thing. By the way, I put a poll in the chat, everybody. See who your favorite offensive coordinator is. We kind of talked about each one of the realistic candidates. I mean, there might be a dark horse somewhere that, that comes out. Who knows? Maybe we what's the guy's name? What was the guy's name? Todd Bowles for the first 2 years. What was his name again?
John Morton.
No. The first 2 years. The old guy, the old man.
Oh,
the hell was his name again?
Oh
Gailey? Chan Gailey.
Chan Gailey.
Maybe we go get Chan Gailey again.
Yeah,
we call him out of retirement. There you go. The ageless one. But I think we got a good idea of we're zero. I mean, Morton's another one. I would be happy with Morton. I would. But I haven't heard him on the list. So GMs though, Gunny. How you feeling about that whole thing? How you feeling, number one, that we didn't hire a GM first? And then maybe get into who you'd like to see take the job.
I mean, not hiring the GM first, I think it was kind of predictable. I think a good portion of us kind of called it was going to happen this way, that we're going to probably get the head coach before the GM. Is it kind of one of those things where you look at it and you're like, man, wow, we're doing this thing backwards? Yes and no, right? If Aaron Glenn is going to be a part of this process, and it's obviously someone he believes he can go ahead and work with, and the head coach is going to be the individual who's literally doing the day-to-day, getting this team ready. So I think doing it a little bit backwards this time around might not be the worst thing. I will say this though, I didn't like the Lance Newmark connection in terms of him and Aaron Glenn. I thought that was, of all the individuals we've interviewed, I felt like they decided to settle for a guy that just happened to have a relationship with Aaron Glenn. So I was very excited that they decided, nope, just kidding. We're going to go ahead and do a second round of interviews with a whole bunch of other individuals. Not sure what happened, but I'm glad it did. But yeah, with the GM situation, I was big on Dorsey or Agnew. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I was a little bit salty that neither one of those guys were invited to interview or took the interview or whatever the case might be, because I was really hoping one of those individuals was ready to go ahead and take the next stance. And you're bringing in Aaron Glenn. I thought that relationship, that window right there, would have garnered some interest. But nevertheless, I think right now the front runner of the three guys, if for me anyway, is Trey Brown. I think Trey Brown for me is the front runner of the remaining three individuals.
Interesting. I'm surprised to hear that.
He's young. I think that's concerning, right? He's young, but this is the guy who's been around with the New England Patriots during their Super Bowl run. He was with the Bengals during their Super Bowl run, the Eagles as well. He's been on three different teams in that as a scout, you know what I'm saying, doing in the front office in some capacity. And those teams have all one way or another made it to a Super Bowl, right? So he knows what it looks like. Again, the only thing is he's young guy. I think he's 40 years old, if that. Like he's young.
Let's see.
So that might be the biggest question mark. Is he ready? Is this role too big for him? Again, this is New York. But Trey Brown, for me, I think, again, it's the whole thing of you want to go ahead and hire a guy too early, vice too late. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you go ahead and strike gold. This is a guy who's been around football for quite some time. And again, he's been around some successful organizations. So you got to hope that, he's learned a thing or two in regards to what, right looks like. And we need that in the front office of the New York Jets.
Where is he from? He's 39 years old. Oh, he's from Kansas.
39.
Kansas.
A 39-year-old Kansasian.
Yeah,
Kansasian.
He's a puppy.
Yeah, he's a fucking dude. All these guys are younger than me anymore. It's crazy. It gets weird. I still remember the first time like a guy we drafted was was like younger than me. I think it was like Marvin Jones. Maybe but like around that era, like Marvin Jones, even like Aaron Glenn. Like Aaron Glenn's my age. So everybody like after him, they started being younger than me. It was like weird, But now even the GMs are younger than me. It just happens. It's part of the life. Hey, so Dom, where are you? Are you on the Trey Brown train, or are you thinking maybe Newmark or who's the other guy? Moogie.
Moog. They call him Moogs.
Moogs.
Listen, I got to be honest. I don't know enough about the three of them to really have a valid opinion. Based off of their backgrounds, I'd probably lean towards Moogs. He's got more of a scouting background, and that's just who I am and what I like. But I don't have a really an honest opinion. I just want it to get done. I like that there's a relationship there with Newmark. I know everyone says it's uninspiring, but is any GM hiring really inspiring? I don't know. I don't know enough about him to get really inspired. So.
Well, and Tyler's saying he likes Hallaby from the Eagles.
Yeah.
Heavy in analytics. That's exactly the reason I don't want him.
Yeah. They say he's like Rain Man kind of different.
Yeah,
like
that's what we need.
Thinks differently and has a completely different view on roster building and team construction and this and that. He's not just a numbers guy. You know what I mean?
Here, let's take a look at this guy. Is this the guy you think? Just imagine him coming to the podium in New York.
Oh my gosh.
That's your guy.
How old is this kid? 20-something?
Fucking 14 years old.
Whose child is that? Is that Woody's son?
Yeah. Whose child is this? Alec Hallaby. Let me see how
Alec Hallaby.
Let me see here how old he is. He's 37. He's the same age as Liz, a year younger than Trey Brown, man.
Gracious.
So I don't know, dude. I don't know. Look, obviously analytics are important and they're valuable and all that. I don't like it being the forefront.
The forefront.
I don't like it. I think we get lost in the sauce with that shit. We get into it every year with the mocks and everything. I'm much more inclined to pick football players. Like when you got 3 years of tape on guys, and then they go into the combine and it supersedes everything one way or the other. They either suck or they're great. Yeah. It's like, I don't like that shit. I'm like, And then it always blows up in your face. You go, look how fast. You can't teach speed. We hear that every year. We'll hear that again. Fucking 40-yard dash. Now, them being fast doesn't mean that they can't be good, of course, but you know what I mean. But yeah, man. So these GMs, I mean, they're young. They're, I think, in a lot of ways, just kind of unknowns in many respects. Newmark is interesting because he was a part of two organizations. He was a part of two long-suffering organizations. He was there when they turned it around in a big way. You know what I mean? So I think, that has value to me. Like, I think that means something. Maybe not a lot, but it means about as much as Aaron Glenn being a former Jet. Like, what the hell fuck does that mean? It ain't gonna mean he's not good. It doesn't mean he's gonna be good or anything. My son my son works at Subway, and he just brought me a sandwich. I asked him to make me something. That's what I said. I said, make me something.
He's gonna be mad at me no matter what
I said, don't put pepperoni on it. Here's my requisite. Here's my parameters. No pepperoni. If it's salty meats, it's oil and vinegar. If it's turkey or roast beef,
it's mayo.
It's mayo, right? Yeah. If it's warm, if it's hot chicken, it's a goopy gloopy sauce. If it's a cheese steak, it's got to be some sort of cheesy sauce. But other than that, make me something. I said no pickles. Okay. So what do you think it is?
I'm gonna guess. I think. Go ahead, you first, Gunny. You're much more handsome.
It's an Italian sub with no pepperoni.
I'm gonna guess it's turkey roast beef and American with slabs of mayo on there. That's what I would eat.
Yeah. Let's see what it is. There's fucking tomatoes.
You didn't say no tomatoes. You got it.
That's true. You didn't mention it though during the period.
I just broke down. You didn't say. You said no pickles.
I did. Yeah, you're right.
You ain't say nothing about no tomatoes.
This looks like some sort of chicken, like rotisserie chicken.
It's tofu.
Tofurkey. Let me see. Let me take one bite. Man. Delicious.
Is it better than the Kyle sandwich from Howard Deli?
That sandwich was unbeatable, dude. Gunny, I ever tell you about that? I had a Saturday or Sunday morning drunk sandwich, hangover sandwich at a local deli.
Yeah.
Best sandwich you ever had.
So Gunny, we just a little more background than that.
Thank you.
There was this deli in the town where me and GreenBean grew up, and he opened at 2 a.m.
Yeah,
he opened at 2 a.m.
Yeah,
and he closed by noon. 1 o'clock maybe, but you got out, the bars and whatnot, and that's just where you went. I mean, you got food as fresh as fresh could be, man.
Yeah, it was Harry's
Corner, baby.
Harry's Corner, man. So my sandwich was this, and it was actually on the menu. It was on the board, the Kyle. That was my name back then. But it was on a sub roll, corned beef hash.
I'm already disgusted.
Yeah, well, I need a lot of corned beef hash. I want the whole thing, corned beef hash. Then it was eggs, and then home fry potatoes with onions. He made them with onions.
Yeah.
So it was home fries and onions, and then I needed the cheese melted on top to glue together the home fries. I didn't like when I picked up a sandwich and potatoes.
You
fell
lost
out.
home fries. Got you.
Right. So I had to have the cheese melted on top. Dude, the thing was like 5 pounds. I would have them deliver it. Like I'd be up in the apartments at Dartmouth Village or something. I'd call them, bring me the fucking blah, blah, blah. And they would bring it. And they would always be like, dude, what is this thing?
Yeah,
like
it weighs 38 pounds. What is this thing?
It was the green bean special.
That's it.
Green bean special.
Yeah, man. I was like, oh yeah. Nothing like corned beef hash after 2 days of crack.
Yeah, once you said you lost me after corned beef. I was like,
yeah. Oh, I love. I'll tell you, man. There's something about corned beef hash. I don't eat it. I haven't eaten corned beef hash in literally many years.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, oh boy, if I'm walking down the aisle, and I see that little can of corned beef hash, I stop and look at it every time. Like,
you look at it.
My wife likes it. Whenever we go to breakfast at a diner or something like that,
Jessica does too.
I'm like, it looks like dog food. It looks like
I
remember giving my first dog Alpo when he still had the wet food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Exactly what corned beef hash looks
what it looks like.
Smells like it. It smells just like that can of Alpo. It's the same.
Oh, that's
appetizing. But does your wife get it well done? It's got to be it's got to be crispy.
She eats everything quasi burned.
Yeah,
I mean? Everything that she eats has got to be except steak. She likes steak rare, but everything else is well done. Like the home fries, burn them. You got to scrape them off the pan, kind of burnt. That's what she likes.
I like your wife. That's how I do it. That's how I like it too. Like corned beef hash, one side has to be almost hard. I want to just leave it on one side the whole time. I don't even need you to flip it. I just want one side. That's what I want. I want it crunchy. That's what I like. It. Teen Bean comes through. How you liking your job at Subway? It's easy. There you go. That'll do it. That's enough for me. Make any tips? $5 in tips. Yeah. Not bad.
It's not bad at all.
Because I'll tell you what, I have a rule. I don't tip at shit places like that. I don't do it. I just don't do it. I'm like, no, if you're gonna deliver, if I'm sitting down and you're bringing me some, of course. But if I'm ordering it at a place, you're not getting it. They have a tip jar at the end. You make me a cup of coffee. They're like, you want a tip? I'm like, no. It's uncomfortable every single time. I go in one of these. I go fucking get an ice cream sundae to tip. You want a tip? No. Every time it's uncomfortable. This guy.
I get got every time. I get got every single time. Every time they ask, I'm like, yeah, of course, sure.
Oh, here's $1.
I give them $1 or something.
You ever go to Walmart or a supermarket or something and get the deliveries brought out to your car?
Yep, I tip.
You ever tip those kids?
I do.
You do. My son did that too. I don't tip those kids either. You know why? Because I go out and I help them because I need them to put it in my car the right way. So I'm doing it. I'm lifting it. I'm taking. I'm like, hey, just stay right there. Just hand me the fucking bags.
Yeah, I'll tip them if it's raining. Or if it's snowy,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Then all right. Here you go. You earned it. Here's a $5.
I struggle looking them in the face and not feeling obligated.
Dude, they don't even know they're all Gunny. They're all stoned. They don't even remember you're there. They're like, what was I just doing? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sorry, I borrowed some of your Doritos.
Did you approve of the replacements? What did you replace? Well, you're not getting a bag of Doritos. Is that okay? I ate half of your fucking 8 hot dogs. Your raw hot
That would be
dogs.
creepy. That would be so creepy.
Yeah. Well, Fire Aaron Glenn checking in to say Fire Aaron Glenn. You know, Fire Aaron Glenn, you could have used that opportunity to say something else because you'd already said that with your name, buddy.
Yeah.
You could have. You're just repeating yourself now.
Yeah, I saw Fire Aaron Glenn also make a super chat on the Jake Asman show earlier. He seems very passionate about firing Aaron Glenn.
Who's his guy? Did he say on Jake's show who his guy is?
I don't think I didn't see that. I just saw Fire Aaron Glenn. That seemed to be his go-to. But hey, yeah, I'm curious. Fire Aaron Glenn. If it wasn't Aaron Glenn, who was your guy that was available? Because Mike Vrabel obviously wasn't available either. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, we got to see who our guy. See, it's real easy to. I mean, it's the easiest thing in the world to poke.
To
at what,
yes.
That sucks. You're wrong. Yeah. But what's your idea? Well, finding a solution,
but not him.
I do that all the time, Gunny. Like at work, I'm like a director a lot of the time for the last 15 years or so. So I say to people, come in and go, blah blah blah. I say, hey, whoa. You got to have a solution. You can't complain without a solution. If you don't have a solution, then you're just whining and bitching, and that's what your mom's for. I don't do that. That's mom's job. I need it. You gotta have your fucking ideas on how to fix whatever it is you're all pissed off about.
Well, he says Brian Flores was the answer.
Yeah, that was my guy too, Fire Aaron Glenn. All of a sudden, I got this deep kinship with Fire Aaron Glenn. That was my guy too. But but here's the truth, and you guys know, like before the hire, I made my points clear, made my opinion very obvious. But the truth is, I never disliked him as a candidate, and I don't now. Like, I can get myself excited about Aaron Glenn. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I see all the stuff, and I think that he definitely earned I think he's right. Like, it's not an inappropriate thing to see him get a head coaching job. I'm just tired of our formula. Like, our formula, the New York Jets do the same thing every single time, and we couldn't help ourselves. And once again, we have a coach without the GM. We do that too. Like, this is like Joe Douglas. I mean, Adam Gase was here when Joe Douglas was hired. Bowles was here when McCagnon was hired. Rex was here when Idzik was hired. It's like it's what we do. Rookie defense before the goddamn GM is here. It just doesn't, you know what I mean? So look, I like to think this. The Jets, Woody's like, I just know this formula is going to work. You take enough shots at it, it's going to stick, damn it.
Eventually, it's going to hit.
It's going to hit, and then you got to commend the resilience.
It's like the motto, if you don't have a quarterback, keep drafting one until you hit.
Until you do.
That's what Woody's doing. I'm just going to keep naming first-time head coaches from the defensive side of the ball, and
until I get one,
you're going to praise me.
Yeah, Woody's going to go, I never said this to anybody, but boy, oh boy, do I love defense. Oh, that's what it is.
You don't say.
That's what it is. Alan Doge checking in with the Stream Beaner Super Chat. Thanks, Alan. One of my favorites out there. Green Bean sandwich philosophy is a perfect example of why he should be the GM. Look at that attention to detail. Right? You see?
There's still no GM.
Just a sandwich.
The dream's not over, Green Bean. They haven't named the GM yet.
They haven't.
They have not.
But I haven't even gotten a letter. Not a phone call, not a text. Hey, man.
I just feel like you just got to believe, Green Bean. I think it's
I would have, Gunny, I would have even liked, hey, cool joke. Having a nice day. You know what I mean? Fucking acknowledge me.
That's fair. Just at least let me know you hear me. You see me.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Acknowledge me. Damn it.
It would have been even better if they played along with the joke and brought you in for an interview.
That's what I was hoping. I was hoping we could have some fun. You know what I mean? Let's have some fun. Go in there. I'll grab Dom. Gunny. Dom's my Chiefs fucking senior scout. Has he ever scouted before? No. But he's going to be the boss. He's going to be the boss. That's what he's going to do. He went to scout school. He's been to the Senior Bowl 3 times, dude.
That's facts. That's experience.
Right?
That's experience.
You know what I mean? Dude, I was watching.
I've also scouted Kane University and Towson State. So
There you go.
Boom.
There's some,
Director of college scouting.
There we go.
That's right. There you right, Gunny. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
You already got more of a staff prepared than Aaron Glenn does.
That's
for his
right.
coaching staff.
Oh, we'd be loaded.
Gunny would have to be the head of security, right? He would.
I got
be,
you covered.
Oh yeah.
He would be like that guy in Philadelphia, Big Dom. That would be Gunny.
Covered.
My first order of business would be to get rid of that little paisan that wouldn't let me fucking take a picture with Aaron Rodgers.
Fired.
That guy. I'm like, you're replaced. Gunny, just stay by my side all day. Make sure nobody throws shit at me.
Got you covered, boss.
Kick their ass, Gunny. I love it. Jonathan Francois checking in. He says, sup, guys? Feeling good about the Glenn hiring. Did you see Tennessee might be passing on a quarterback? Will Ward or Sanders slip? If they do, should we take a swing? Well, Dom seems to have something to say. I have thoughts on this, but Dom, what do you got?
I'm going to say right now we're a week away from the Senior Bowl. So this is like go time in draft season. You know what happens with go time? It's also smoke season. So I think that's being thrown out there to drum up interest for someone to possibly trade up. I think that they want a quarterback. They're not going to get out of the first couple picks without a quarterback. But if they can start throwing these little fake smoke screens out there, maybe they'll get the Giants to bite and say, fine, here, we'll give you a first rounder next year. Just move from 1 to 3. And they say, okay. So I think be wary on what you hear right now when it comes to draft position and draft prospects.
Smoke screen season.
That's right.
That's right. We're just at the beginning of what we call smoke screen season. Gunny, what do you think? You think Tennessee's passing on a cornerback? You think Will Levis is they're gonna give him a nod of confidence?
I think Mayo Boy is done as the franchise guy in Tennessee, right? So I don't believe for a second that they're willing to go ahead and pass up on a quarterback unless they believe they can go ahead and get a slew of picks for him and maybe move into next year's draft, really where there's going to be I think a better quarterback class, look for their franchise guy in that class. So that would make sense, but I want nothing to do with Sanders or Ward. I'm sorry. I don't see franchise QB in either of those guys. Ward pissed me off with the whole hitting the freaking, record, then sitting himself, decided he was done. Sanders always blaming everybody else and their mom for issues other than himself. They don't induce any kind of leadership to me. I think they're limited in terms of their game. I don't think they're special. I personally don't think they're worthy of a first round grade, but that's just me. I want nothing to do with them. Let somebody else take the gamble on those guys. Next year, 2026, that's where we're going to go ahead and find maybe our franchise guy. Or if you want to take a flyer on a later round draft pick, by all means. But I want nothing to do with either one of those guys.
I'll tell you what. I tend to feel the same way. Now, there was the rumor that came out that said they can't pass on generational talent, right? That I think they're trying to let people think that it's Hunter, right? That's what I think. But I think they're taking a quarterback. But I'm with you, Gunny. I think Sanders, while incredibly talented, and he'll be a lot of fun at times, I see temperamental problem kind of stuff. And with his dad jumping in, you got to deal with all that shit. If he doesn't feel like his son's being treated right or what, you know what I mean? I just want nothing to do with it. But yeah, so I don't know. Would you want to see Levis if people were talking this week about maybe the Jets bringing Levis on over? Dom, any interest in Will Levis over here?
If we had, gotten Liam Cohen as my head coach, I absolutely would have, because Will Levis had his best year in college when Liam Cohen was the offense coordinator at Kentucky. Fun fact.
There you go.
Listen, I mean, is it worth a flyer on a guy like that? Sure, I guess, but realistically, is Will Levis, going into his third year where, he's getting paid. He's not getting second round picks. So he's not getting paid a lot, but you figure what? $1.5 million. Let's see what Will Levis's contract is. Hang on one second.
Yeah.
But you take a late round flyer, like a pick swap kind of thing, to take him off Tennessee's hands. Yeah, but there's no guarantee that he's going to make the roster. That's kind of like what Denver did with Zachy Poo, right?
Yeah.
Late round swap. We'll or late round swap. We'll take a chance on it, and then we'll never even play him. He'll never even suit up once.
Yeah, well, they're doing the right thing with Zach. That's what we should have did. That year that he had the reset, we should have made him QB3, no threat to ever see the field. And that's what they did. And now he's with Shaw. I think it's the best possible scenario for Zach over there, man.
Zach is going to be he's going to be he's well, I don't know if he's under, I mean, that contract is expired now, right?
Yeah, I think it was 1 year.
He's going to be the backup in San Francisco to Brock Purdy. Watch, mark my words. San Francisco is going to finally get their guy.
They're finally going to get him.
They're going to be like this.
I like it. Now, Paris, I'll tell you, mustard's good on roast beef, but when you're making roast beef, you put mustard on it when you're cooking it. But once it's cooked, you don't put mustard, in my opinion, on a roast beef sandwich. Got to be mayo. You're nuts. So Matt Simon says, wait, Dom, you live by us? Matt Simon from Montville over there, Dom. I'm not sure if you knew that.
No, I didn't. He grew up in Montville. Yes, I would ride my bike over the Rockaway River Bridge to go to that 7-Eleven day after day, day after day.
Oh yeah, love that 7-Eleven. Is that 7-Eleven still there?
It is. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
That's amazing.
The bridge is completely different, though. It's like it's
not a one lane.
It's not a one laner. It's a 2-car. It's beautiful. You got to kind of go this way to go this way. It's all fucked up. I'm like, where's the little bridge, the rickety thing, the one laner?
The one lane. You had to wait if somebody else was coming. Like whoever got there first got to go. That was our bridge.
Yep.
Oh yeah, good times. Good times. All right, what do we got here? I want to remind you guys about the sponsor. Don't forget about the great Bet US, everybody. Bet US offering you a 150% bonus on your first deposit, up to $2,000. Everybody, all you got to do is use the promo code YouTube150. I don't know why this platform. There it is. Finally, it worked. YouTube150 is the code. 150% bonus, but that's not all, guys. It also gives you a 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. America's favorite sports book, and for very good reason. Like I say all the time, you don't have to bet football. You can bet darts, fucking swimming, you can do all that shit right there on Bet US. And thank you for hanging out with us all season, Bet US. I can't believe you made it. You hung in there like so many tortured Jets fans. That was good.
Breaking news.
Give it to us.
Robert Saleh, then once again, the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers.
Makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. So Robert Saleh's down there over there with the Niners again. It sounds great. I mean, I think that's
more breaking news. More breaking news.
What do you got?
San Francisco 49ers also have a new special teams coordinator, Brant Boyer.
Who's that?
Brant Boyer.
Really? He took Brant Boyer with him.
Wow, he took Brant with him, huh?
Yeah. 49ers expect to have a position filled. No, I shouldn't say that. I let me retract that. They have interviewed him, and he has become the favorite. The 49ers expect to have the position filled next week. It will not be Nick Sorensen as previously expected, with the influx of veteran special team coordinators on the market. Boyer finally gone. He lasted more regimes than anybody.
Yeah, and we sucked the entire time, so I don't want to hear it. You got to shake loose the bad energy. Like, there's no way that he's positive here. You know what I mean? He's been a part of terrible organizations. Go. Get it. I want clean sweep. There's even rumors of the Jets liking the idea of keeping White Cotton and maybe Tony Oden. I like both coaches, but get the fuck out of here. Everybody out. How can you scrub? You can't clean the whole house and leave one dog turd in the corner. The whole house still smells like shit. You got to get rid of every turd.
You
know
were
what I
as
mean?
big of a Tony Oden fan as I ever knew, dude. You're
I
ready
love
to cut
Tony,
bait?
right? I do. I like, but here's the thing too. Like, in addition to like when it's time to clean, you just clean, right? You just pull the Band-Aid off, right? Stop with this crap. The other thing is this. I think Sauce Gardner could use a little bit of tutelage from maybe a different angle. He's a little handsier than I like, and we're going to be going to man, and I think he might just need just a new angle
Well,
on his training.
if it's Steve Wilkes, you can bet your bottom dollar that he's going to have a big influence on the defensive backs and Sauce. Like you said it right there. His scheme. Now, I know, like, listen, he's going to probably incorporate what Aaron Glenn wants, but like even Glenn ran a man coverage more than anyone in the NFL this past year, any team in the NFL. But Steve Wilkes is known to use his defensive backs in creative ways. For all those guys that wanted Sauce to travel with the number one receiver, plan on it. That Wilkes' guys always travel. His best corner travels with the best receiver. There's lots of these guys' coverages, lots of corner and safety blitzes, lots of different action, lots of pre-snap reads, transfer post-snap into something completely different. So there's a big change coming in our defensive philosophy. Very, very aggressive, more man coverage and blitz centric under Steve Wilkes. You can guarantee that. And we got a team
nothing
beater.
to say. I don't know what we're talking about. I was spaced out the whole time. What's going on?
What's up, Team Bean? How are you, babe?
Nothing much. How about you?
I can't complain,
Yeah.
man.
What are we talking
Green
about?
Bean got a lot younger all of a sudden.
Yeah, right. The beard got shorter too. I did.
Beard got shorter too.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say.
Is that, what are we talking about? What are we talking about?
How you feel about the hiring of Aaron Glenn?
I mean, I feel pretty good. Like, I honestly would have liked Brian Flores because he's like, he's proved himself as a head coach in the league. But like, I can't complain with Aaron Glenn. He's a good coordinator. But like he was pointing out earlier, yeah, like we love hiring first time head coaches like who are great coordinators. Same thing with Saleh. Saleh was a great defensive coordinator. Didn't really work out with us, but I kind of hope it's not the same thing for Aaron Glenn, which we all do. But I think he's got. I think he's good. I think he was a good hire, at least for right now.
Remember watching him play?
No, I wasn't alive.
Oh, you were young.
I wasn't born yet.
I was, yeah.
You were actually you don't know this, Teen Bean, but you were actually conceived when Aaron Glenn returned a 101-yard interception.
We were very excited then.
It's all gone full circle, right?
That's right.
The circle of life. The circle of life.
Yeah, man. Aaron Glenn.
Teen Bean got old, didn't he? He's like,
I
it's
know.
like,
yeah, he
Beard,
did.
it's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
Man,
It's nuts.
time really flies.
I don't get it. He's gonna be 17 in like a month and a half.
Yep.
Man, he's excited about growing up, man. It ain't fun, bro.
No, I'm not.
It ain't fun.
It's scary.
No, enjoy it.
It's terrifying.
He just asked me. He's like, hey, he wants to go to a house concert in Richmond. A house concert,
Like
somebody's house.
Really?
That's a house party.
I'm
I know
like,
what those
who's? Yeah, I'm like, whose house? He's like, I don't know. I'm like,
Yeah,
no.
but that music that Jovis listens to, man, like people are gonna be jumping off the roofs and shit like that.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Jumping into the pool, but missing the pool.
Yeah,
Like we
makes me like right
me
now. I
nervous.
can say, dude, you're 16 years old. Cut it out. But in like 5 minutes, it's going to be 18 telling me to go screw. And I'm
grown.
going to pull
do
this
what I
line
want.
out. I'm going to be like, as long as you live under my roof, I'm going to be that guy.
You gotta switch it up. That's just the name of the game.
Oh, I tell you. Eddie doesn't like Levis. I don't think I like. How about Justin Fields? There's some. I mean, look. Right now, I think we bring the best case for me is just run it back. A-Rod, he keeps Devontae Adams with him. Tyrod Taylor, and we can finally see Jordan Travis outside of a leg brace. See, get him running around, get some blood flowing in his legs. But I don't know. I don't see any reason to kind of start bringing in. I just don't know. But how do you feel, Gunny? What if we, A-Rod's not back? You into the Justin Fields idea?
Yep. I've been sitting here trying to understand why people hate him so much. When you've seen the guy from the year one to now drastically get better every single year, he had the elite ability to go ahead and rush the ball, elite ability to rush the ball, simplify the game for him, let him do what he's good at. I think a lot of people keep forgetting, man, like he had some horrendous coaching and no offensive line with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
Horrendous coaching, no offensive line, right? And yet somehow, some way, each year he still found a way to improve. The dude, literally, look at the statistics. Every year he got better. He got better, more accurate, more touchdown passes, more passing yards. It's every single year. And then he goes to the Steelers, who brought in freaking, Russell Wilson with the intention of starting him, took advantage of the injured Russell Wilson situation, won them 4 games before, we think our offense can do a lot more with Russell, and he got to sit down. I think the kid is young. He's got a strong arm. I think he's got an elite rushing ability. Yeah, it's not going to cost us much to bring him into the building and compete for an opportunity. I'm definitely on bringing Justin Fields with, the offensive line we've obviously put together now. You've got weapons like Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, who can be a complementary piece to him in terms of the running game, a competent offensive coordinator. Let's see what that looks like with a guy like Justin Fields.
I look now, like I said, I'm a fan of just running it back, right? Like if we're going to, why have a holdover year? But I'm going to be honest with you. I actually agree with you, Gunny. Like I think Justin Fields, if he was here the last 2 years, I think we would have had a lot more fun than we had, quite frankly.
I agree.
And I'm with you, man. I mean, I think he's, I don't know what, if he has the ability to be one of the best in the league, or I don't know. Yeah. But I think he gets a little bit of a raw deal. He would come cheap, and you can kind of, you can see what maybe catch lightning in a bottle. You see it happening with guys like Sam Darnold and shit. Like sometimes guys need a few years.
Geno Smith. Yep. You've seen it. We've literally
Geno only
seen
needed 11 years,
yeah,
and then Geno's like, you know what? I think I understand. That's all.
He gets it now.
Dom, how would you feel about Justin Fields coming to town?
I don't know if I want Rodgers back. I might be in the minority here, but
what's your plan? Talk about it.
I don't know if I have a plan. I'm just saying my plan would not include Aaron Rodgers because of the implications that it brings, the cap implications, the rigidity that probably comes with an Aaron Rodgers run offense. Like the guy has run the same system for 21 years, and we're gonna all of a sudden he's gonna be willing to learn something else. He hasn't been, So to me, that's just going to breed some sort of feelings or dissent where I could see a bad game and Aaron Rodgers in his very coy passive aggressiveness coming up to the podium and saying, well, that's what GM Gunny wants to run. So, that's, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you have 14 guys on the red line and that happens, I could see Aaron Rodgers doing that. Like, listen, I get why they made the move for Rodgers. It was the right decision. It didn't work. Cut your losses and move on. If this is going to be a new era, a new regime, make it a new era, new regime. You talked about it. Drain the swamp. Okay. Drain the swamp, motherfuckers.
So get Aaron Rodgers out of here. Take would you want to keep Devontae Adams? Would you want to make a push to keep him around?
I don't think that would happen. But yeah, like if you could separate the two, sure. I think if Aaron Rodgers is either, if the Jets move on from Aaron Rodgers or he retires, I think Devontae Adams goes ring hunting. I think he goes to a team where, he's got a chance to make it for one more year and bring in a title and so on and so forth. Or, like the craziest scenario, which is probably this much, plausibility to it, is if the Saints move on and cut Derek Carr and the Jets bring him on for vet minimum, then you can probably keep Devontae Adams.
Interesting.
Wouldn't that be some full circle shit?
Yeah, weird. That'd be a weird scene. I know, like,
And I'm
Look,
not suggesting it. I'm just saying,
No, I
you know,
hear ya,
we
but
talk about keeping Rodgers. I think that's probably
well, it's interesting too because you want to see. You don't want to see a new regime kind of hamstrung to old ideas and things that are, I mean, look, you want to see him keep guys like Garrett Wilson, like Brees, like Sauce, like, a lot of, the young talent that we have. Quinnen, hopefully, right? Quincy, those guys, JJ, McDonald, all those young guys that we have. But other than that, like, there is an argument to be made, like, just like you're saying, like, Aaron Rodgers threw for 3,900 yards this year. He threw for 28 touchdowns and 11 picks, I think it was. But clean house. If you're gonna do it, just do it. I'm telling you, I go back and forth, to be honest with you. I just don't want to. I'm not excited about like a fill-in year, like a Tyrod Taylor year, and just know that nothing's going to happen. You know what I mean? You'll win some games, but we're there rooting for what? We're not winning the Super. We're not beating Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. You're not. You know what I mean? So I just want I don't know. I think we still have a good team, and we should figure out a way to make us as good of an attempt at a run as we can. You don't need to suck this year, in my opinion. Do you agree, Gunny? Gunny, do you think this is a rebuild year, or do we have a chance to kind of do something?
No, it's not a rebuild year. A lot of individuals are talking like the New York Jets are inept of talent. Listen, before the season started, the New York Jets roster was considered one of the better rosters in the NFL. Once Tyron Smith sat down and we brought in Olu Fashanu, the offensive line played light years better than they were playing the first half of the season. Yeah. I think our offensive line is pretty much shored up. We need a right tackle. Do you bring back a Morgan Moses? I don't know. He was pretty banged up towards the end. But again, you bring him back, you find a young stud to go ahead and be at the right tackle position. Your offensive line is a top 10 offensive line. They play like a top 10 line towards the end of the season. So there's no reason to believe that they can't continue to do that. They're a young core. I think you got an individual like Devontae Adams, who's pretty much kind of stated he would like to go ahead and still be here. I see people talking about Garrett Wilson's going to request a trade if Aaron Rodgers comes back. There's really no indication of that. Even he has said it's a lot of outside noise in regards to how we feel or his perception of what's going on behind closed doors. The New York Jets problem in 2024 was coaching. It's clear as day. They were outmatched every single time they stepped on the field. We lost 7 games by one possession or one possession. One possession, 7 games. 3 of them, our kicker forgot how to kick field goals. The Jets weren't far off from winning 8 to 9 games if they had the average coaching. We didn't have that. I don't believe in one single instant this entire season when the Jets stepped up on the field that we had a coaching advantage. I know we had talent advantages. I never felt we had a coaching advantage, and it showed throughout an entire game. They just couldn't put it together. We just saw the Washington Commanders are in the NFC Championship game. They won 4 games last year. 4. So people are over here talking about gloom and doom and blah. Why? The Commanders just showed you in one offseason you can turn it around. What did they do different? Jaden Daniels is special. I'm not saying that Rodgers is Jaden Daniels.
No, he's a big reason.
But he's a big reason. But new coaching staff, you know what I'm saying, new front office, that does matter. The culture begins from the top and it goes down. So I'm not saying we're going to be in the AFC Championship game next season, but I do believe at the very least we're capable with this talent. If we do some tweaks and we've got some average coaching, the Jets could be a borderline playoff team. If not for anything, just to stop the embarrassment of having the longest playoff drought in all of sports. For some of y'all, that seems to be okay. No, for me, it bugs me to be the one to continuously to have the longest playoff drought in all of sports. So if you're telling me there's a chance we can go ahead and end that in 2025, 2026, I'm taking it. I'm taking it all day.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's an astute take, man. I don't disagree with that. Here's something on Fields real quick, though, and Dom, I'll get your take as well. Sodak checking in says, bro, I've watched almost every Chicago game with Fields. Dude is marginally better than Zach Wilson. For the love of Christ, no. Cousins, dude, how could you follow that with Cousins?
I didn't want to say it.
Darnold. I mean, dude, listen, if you were Sam Darnold, Sodak, would you even consider coming back to this shithole that ruined, you know what I mean? Like, dude, he left here. He was like a shell of a human. I couldn't believe that Matt Rule traded for him and started him. Right. It was like he was shell shocked. He was happy feet. He needed a minute. He needed to take a breath. And we saw it. So I don't know. If I was Sam, any team but here, I would never come back here. And the truth is, I don't want it. If one good year after that, he ain't coming here and succeeding. I just don't. It ain't gonna work, dude. I say no. But anyway, that's the thoughts on that one, Sodak. But Dom, what's your thoughts on what we were talking? What were we talking about? I already forgot. What was Gunny talking about?
About running it back.
Well, yeah, and like, do we like the need to kind of rebuild, or is like you think we got a shot?
Well, here's where my stand is on that. Is that I'm thinking of the financial ramifications of an Aaron Rodgers and a Tay Adams and so on and so forth. You don't realize that, I think 5 days into the season, the option bonus for Aaron Rodgers kicks in, and the $49 million jumps to 65. And that $65 million now carries into 26 and 27. So we are just delaying the inevitable. Now, yes, the cap goes up. I get that, but I'm just ready. I'm just ready to move on. I'm ready to clean the cap situation. Like let's get ourselves fiscally in a place where we can be where, teams like the Patriots, Minnesota, where they have all this money to spend and you already have some good building blocks, and hopefully you found the coach that could, really drum up some interest into coming to the Jets. Because right now, I think it's, Aaron Rodgers is just going to be more headache than value. That like the fitting a square peg into a round hole of a new, possibly young offensive coordinator, having those kind of like tugs of the rope in leadership and battles and like that. Like, I just don't need it. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if it's Justin Fields, which I don't think Justin Fields is going to come here. I think he's going to re-sign with Pittsburgh anyway. And I don't know if there's an answer. I at least I don't have a viable one. My answer really is just, let's move on from Aaron Rodgers. It did not work.
Very interesting. It's tough to think about it. We just watched the third greatest quarterback performance in Jets history, and we're like, get out. Get out. We don't need you, man. Talking red lines and shit. Get out. Get out of our house. I'm going to end the poll. I hope you guys had your opinion shared, that you got your vote in. The question was, who's your favorite idea to bring in for the offensive coordinator? Who's your hope? Kubiak takes the championship here with 39%. Brunel comes in second with 28%, and Kaylee with 24%. Keep Hackett got 7% of the vote. That's the Aaron Rodgers crew. They just want whoever Aaron Rodgers likes. That's who I like. Bring back Lazard and Cobby. Let's get Cobby in the house. I can't believe how bad this all went for us, guys. Like, it's just, we had such crazy hopes with all this stuff. What a crazy season.
But to be fair, GreenBean, like, it wasn't just Jets fans this time. Like, a lot of people look at it now, and in hindsight, they're like, haha, LOL Jets. No. It wasn't just us talking about the potential of this team. Like, there were professionals, like professional analysts, who looked at this team the way we did, and they were like, the Jets are going to be scary. The Jets could go to the Super Bowl. The Jets can win the AFC. Like, they were professional. Peter Schrager had us as the number one seed in the AFC. This is a guy who hasn't missed and called in the Super Bowl in the last 4 years. Had us as potentially being the number one seed in the AFC. So it wasn't just us. I'm telling you, I think this season proved to me one thing. Coaching matters significantly more than I ever gave it credit for.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it watching it in front of my eyes that somehow, some way, with more talent, this team got worse. It was, like you said, it doesn't make sense. It's not computing. And yet we got to see it firsthand. And this season taught me one thing. I will never question the value of good coaching ever again. I'll never do it because we got to watch the 2024 Jets prove to us that you can have all the talent in the world, right? But if you don't got the coaches, the grown-ups in the room to actually maneuver that talent, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, you know what? I can't help think too, like, and like to that point, because I agree with you. I think coach, like, we saw numerous reasons, like you said, that we never felt like we were out coaching the other team ever. It was like it never happened. But in addition to that, like the lack of accountability and all that stuff is a major signal throughout the team. Like, so people have to know that they're going to be held accountable for lackluster performance, for incessant mistakes, whatever it might be. And there was none of that this year. We had just like a bunch of soft friends. Like nobody was going to make anybody pay for anything. And it's such a big deal. But doesn't that speak to the idea that the team is largely still here? You put in a few things, you get a right tackle, maybe keep Morgan Moses, but have somebody there if it's a young guy or whatever. But you get a couple safeties, you get some beef for the middle of the defensive line, and you're kind of there. You know what I mean? Like you're kind of, we have the team. And if there's good coaching, doesn't that mean, Dom, that we could have this chance of kind of capitalizing on the dreams of 2024?
Yeah, sure. But at what cost? Right?
$65 million. That's what it costs.
That's I mean, the exact dollar amount.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I get it. I understand why fans, and people want to see Aaron run it back, so on and so forth. But it just, like, the whole thing just did not work. It did not work. And this is with Aaron Rodgers handpicked guys and coaches and this and that. Like, now you're bringing in a new regime and you still got somebody that's, kind of could possibly ruffle, feathers, and kind of restrict the coaches from letting them do what they want, man. Especially a young offensive guy. That's my whole take.
All right, let's talk about the big question here. Who's our offensive line coach? Do we have any ideas? Because Keith Carter needs to go. Dom, you're kind of in those. I mean, who's next up for the offensive line? Who can come here and capitalize on the young talent? Maybe maximize, or hey, how about this? Develop young guys that are taken in the fourth round. Maybe get them to, really maximize their potential. Anybody on deck?
It's not Keith Carter, that's for sure, man.
No.
I would love to for Aaron Glenn to poach Hank Fraley, the offensive line coach and run game coordinator for Detroit. I would love to see that, but he's interviewed for a couple OC jobs, so I don't know if that's going to happen. But yeah, after that, like, you hit the nail on the head. I don't know who it is, and I don't have any names to say this is the guy that we need to bring in, but they have to be able to develop some of this talent, because the past 2 years under Keith Carter, guys have not only have our young guys not developed, but I think it's fair to say they've regressed. Yeah.
I think so too. Like, we had a hope for guys like Max Mitchell. He was a good prospect coming out. Raw, needed development, needed strength, but a good prospect. Carter Warren, another good prospect, injured, but they look terrible. And then you see guys like a Mekhi Becton, who this regime just hated. He goes down to Philly, and they say, no, you're going to move inside. You lost your lateral movement and shit with your injuries and everything. We're going to stick you inside. You're going to be the biggest guard in the NFL and just crush people. And he's like, okay.
Yeah, he's like, okay.
Yeah, no problem. But we didn't even have that idea. We couldn't even see it. The only guy we want to move around is AVT. That's it. So I don't know, guys. It's going to be interesting to see. Aaron Glenn's here. Steve Wilkes is our defensive coordinator. We're locking up the defense before offense is even thought about. Seems about right. We've had 7 offensive coordinators in 10 years. That's what the Jets do. Any wonder why we can't seem to score? Sodak checking back in. GreenBean, you skipped like 2 to 3 super chats earlier in the. No, I didn't. There's no way. Nope. Fire Aaron Glenn. I got Alan Dodds. I got Francois. Maybe did I skip J Boy? I skipped one. I'll get you, J Boy. Maybe because but did I think I said? I think I put it. Hey, either way, I'll put it up there in a second. You're starting to be like the Italian paisan Dom, who's realistic about first round Who's realistic? Dom. Okay. Dom, who's realistic about first round prospect? So who do you got, Dom?
I mean, listen, we're picking 7. Who would I like to see? You know, if I had my choice, if I had my druthers, you know, I would love to, and this is not going to happen more than likely, but I mean, Abdul Carter for me is the best player in the class overall, the best player in this class. If there was a way that somehow, some way he slipped, which I doubt, I would not even think twice. I don't think, well, not that I don't think, but I'm not as high on Mason Graham as the majority of folks. So he's not a guy I would look at. You know, it depends on what happens with our scheme. Also, if it's, you know, if it ends up being Steve Wilkes and Aaron Glenn, you can rest assured they're going to do what Joe Douglas didn't do for, you know, his tenure and really pinpoint some high level, you know, high profile safety play and cornerback play. So Will Johnson's a great option at corner to play opposite of Sauce, especially if we're going to go to more of a man specific scheme. You know, I think that, you know, the wide receiver Tedero McMillan, if Adams is gone, he could be in play. I know Tyler Warren is a real buzz name these days. Like the Jets need a total revamp of that tight end room. So I could get down with that. I think 7 might be a little too rich if I'm being honest. So there's tons of options, man. There's tons of options. If I had to pick one, like I said, Abdul Carter, if he fell, which he probably won't fall. After that, I might lean towards, you know, Tet McMillan or Will Johnson or maybe even Malachi Starks if you want to take another top 10 safety.
Malachi Starks, there you go.
Starks is is head and shoulders above any safety in this class. So
you like Uman Wari or however you say that, Dom?
I don't know who.
How do you say his name? Another safety, Uman Wari. Is that how you say it?
Oh, Emanwari. Yeah, Nick
Emanwari.
Yeah, from South Carolina. He's big. He's a good guy.
6'3".
He's probably 230 pounds. He's built like a linebacker.
Yeah. So like you guys, if you're on Twitter, you see Victor Green floating around. He said he's not been offered anything, but he would love to join the Jets staff with Aaron Glenn. Wouldn't it be nice to see him as like an assistant defensive backs coach, hang out with the safeties? And just sit there and tell people, oh, listen, by the way, your job is to knock that fucking guy's head right off of his body. Okay. Let me show you how to do that. Here's how you knock people's brains out of their ears. I'd love it. What do you think, Gunny? You want to bring Victor Green on board?
I'm 100% on Victor Green coming on board. Again, another guy who shows the passion, and he's violent. I think we need to teach our guys to be more violent, and I don't know who better could potentially go ahead and show Sauce Gardner the proper way to go ahead and blow somebody's head up than Victor Green. So if he was to come on and be a part of that defense, I'd be all about it. I'm also on team bringing Mangold to be an assistant O-line coach.
Yeah.
I'm 100% on board with that. Like, let's go ahead and make it an all-Jets staff. Why not, right? Let's just go for it. Let's make it an all-Jets staff. Get these guys in here. They've been Jets before. Right? Let's enjoy this. At least allow us to enjoy the fact you're bringing back some of the old guys, you know what I'm saying, that we all grew up watching and loved, to go ahead and lead this next generation of Jets, hopefully, to greatness.
Yeah, I like that idea. I say bring in Victor Green, bring in Nick Mangold, get them, get their coaching careers started. They can be assistants. They don't have to be the position coach. They could be an assistant offensive line coach, assistant defensive backs coach. I think they got the chops to do that. Why not? We did it with is Cromartie still around? Is he still here?
Yeah, he's still around. Bring him in.
They're gonna keep him. Yeah, keep him around. What about Chris Jenkins as defensive line coach? Remember him?
Yeah,
Chris Jenkins. There you go. Billy SBC with
fatty.
the Chris Jenkins idea.
A big fatty for you.
So J Boy, sorry I missed your super chat. Thanks to Sodak for letting me know. The fact Hackett is still a Jet makes me sick.
Yeah, I concur.
Is he though? He's just. I mean, they didn't really fire anybody. They just let them go.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how their contracts go, the coaches and whatnot. I mean, I know Phil Savage is still working. He's been at all the showcases, all the bowl games. I'm sure he'll be down in Mobile again.
They're gonna keep him around, you think?
I don't think they're gonna keep him around, but he's still on the contract. They need somebody to kind of take the lead on this stuff.
Take notes. Bring us back your notes. That's what it's all about. Just take notes and bring them back for the guy who's going to replace you. I can see somebody keeping him around, though. It's like, we kept Terry Bradway around for years. Remember that guy? He was our GM. He sucked. They demoted him instead of firing him. That's what the Jets do. We like to keep garbage in the house. That's what we do. It's like, yeah, take the trash out. Oh, not these banana peels. Leave that banana peel right there. I'm going to do something with it. I think I could do. That's what I do to my wife. She wants to throw shit out. I'm like, no, not that jar. Keep that jar. Keep that. No, keep that can of peanuts. I'm going to put screws in it. That's what I do.
That's how my wife is.
Now I have stacks of empty jars, Gunny.
I try to throw away everything. I try so hard to throw away everything. Not her.
Oh, you're the guy throwing it away?
Oh, yeah, I am. I hate clutter. I will toss it immediately. She, on the other hand, wants to save it. I mean, listen, she saves our mason jars and turns them into these pretty awesome drinking utensils.
Yeah, dude,
I'm not mad at it. But saves our mason jars and whatnot, turns them into freaking glasses.
Yeah, this is a Cafe Bustelo coffee thing. My wife literally took a drill and drilled a hole in the top of the cap and just makes it into coffee mugs for our iced coffee.
It works. It works.
Yeah, problem here is we're both cluttery. So we live in, it's a mess. And then we get frustrated, spend a whole weekend cleaning it. And we tell the kids that we want to keep the house like this. The kids are fine. It's her and I.
We're all a month later.
Not even. Next weekend, there's shit all over. Every chair's got clothes on it, and we're the worst. But so what else we got going on? I think that's, we got the offensive coordinator. We hired our head coach, got our defensive coordinator. The GM search is on. What else is there in Jetland? Dom, what do we got?
It's draft season, baby. They gotta figure out a GM. They gotta figure out their coaching staff first and foremost, and then they gotta turn their focus into what's happening in the middle of April. That's what's going on.
Yeah, Dom's been waiting. Dom's been chewing his face off, waiting for us to finally jump on board and be willing to talk draft with him.
That's right.
Gunny, you getting psyched up for the draft? You got your eyes on anybody?
Yeah, listen, for me, I'm a big fan of Tyler Warren. I do like Mason Graham. I really do. Although freaking Dom had me thinking twice about him in terms of scheme fit, bringing him into the building. We don't really know what that's going to look like now. I guess we'll figure out what potentially our scheme's going to look like. But for me, if it ain't him, I say we trade back and grab ourselves Tyler Warren. I think a legitimate tight end that can go ahead and help in the passing game and can be kind of a versatile weapon can go a long way to improving this offense. I think we all realize that Jeremy Ruckert, he wasn't it. Maybe it's not his fault, but I know that when you throw him the ball, he can't catch it, so that's a problem.
Right.
And
he misses more blocks than you thought he would.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah,
quite frankly.
He was supposed to be good at that, and he has not been. So, for me, I think tight end should be prioritized as one of the offense. I know a lot of people are saying defense, but I would like to spend some resources, some massive resources on making the offense better this year. If that means you got to get more weapons in to make the lives of Jordan Travis or Tyrod Taylor or Aaron Rodgers, easier, then so be it. I think right now our defense needs a couple of pieces. I think safety, of course. I think, the defensive line needs another body, another big fatty, as GreenBean would say. But for me, trade back, accumulate some picks, and grab Tyler Warren. He's my favorite offensive player in this draft, offensive weapon in this draft. So that's my thought process. If I can't get Mason Graham, which again Dom has kind of made me kind of step back and take a look at him a little bit more.
Don't take my
no. I'm just saying
mine.
The way you broke him down in regards to the fit, it does make a lot of sense. I was looking at the guys, an individual player versus a team fit. But when you broke it down, I was like, you know what? You make a lot of very valid points. So for me, I decided, let's not risk things. Trade back, grab some picks, grab Tyler Warren, bring in an offensive weapon to the building.
I'm all about it. I like Tet though.
Yeah, he's nice too. I mean, especially if Adams is gone, it's a good compliment. But what was I going to say? The one thing we also got to remember, this is a really, really good defensive line class in this draft class. Both at edge and defensive tackle is very deep. So you can use your number 7 pick at a position not of those and still end up with a really high quality prospect. So
yeah, see, I like that idea. That's the way to do it. Is you gotta play the draft, and a lot of people don't understand that. Like, there are deep positions every year, and you gotta use that. Like when there's only 1 or 2 of this position that you could use, but there's 6 or 8 of this. You gotta, in most scenarios, you gotta consider that. On who you're going to draft. Now, it doesn't always work out. It's like I like to bring up the year that Ed Reed came out. That was one of the stronger safety classes in a long time. It was like a whole bunch of 5, 6, what they called first round quality tight ends or safeties. Ed Reed the Jets passed on Ed Reed. We took Brian Thomas. And then we took McGraw, the safety, in the second round. Significantly different careers. I think McGraw played for us for like 2 years and he was gone. So you don't always hit. You still got to take the right guy. But I really do like the idea of holding off on the defensive line, getting a skill position guy. If it's tight end, fine. If it's wide receiver, great. I love Abdul Carter too. But I mean, I don't know, because there's concerns. Like JJ might take a year to be, to come back and be, the impact guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, having an Abdul Carter in there with Will McDonald and JJ kind of rotating in, but we don't know what we don't know. I mean, the Saleh regime, this rotation was a big part of it. We might just see our guys out there for 80, 89, 92% of the plays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is kind of more normal than what we've seen. So I don't know, man. I think I'm leaning. I'd love if we could trade back a little bit, that'd be great. But I don't know who anybody's trading up for, Dom. I mean, do you see anybody?
Right. Nah, I don't. I mean, it'll be really tough. Like the quarterbacks will probably be gone, and even that, like, I don't think people are going to spend future capital to move up to get one of these guys. I mean, I'm talking like really move up, like the Raiders move up from 6, so on and so forth is probably the floor. I don't know who else people are moving up for, to be honest with you. This is probably one where teams are going to more than likely have, 11 or 12 first round grades, and they're willing to possibly move back to gain capital more so than move up. So they're not going to, I don't expect there's always action. I don't expect there to be a lot of hot action, especially at the top of the draft.
Yeah, I don't see it either. I mean, look, every year the quarterback thing becomes a thing, right? And you'll see somebody rise, and you'll see teams get feisty and may want to do some bold shit. But I'm with you. I don't see too much trading up this year. So I think we're going to be right at 7 and make our pick most likely. I'm hoping that Tet McMillan ends up landing there, and I think that's the guy. If he's there, I think you got to do it. That's my thought on the matter.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, with or without Tay Adams, it still makes sense because Tay Adams is going to be here. If he's
Lazard's gone.
If he's here, it'll probably be short term. I mean, the guy's going to be 32, 33. So, you still got Malachi Corley if the new regime kind of figures out how to utilize him, I guess, or
imagine that
just lets him play. But after that, who do you got? We lost Jason Brownlee. He's now a Chief. Irv Charles is he a receiver? Is he not? Xavier Gibson. Can we all put that Xavier Gibson punt return week 1 against Buffalo to rest and
put that to bed?
It's time to move on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and Gibson, so getting rid of Gibson, getting rid of Lazard, letting Malachi Corley play, I think immediately elevates our. But that's 2 wide receiver spots that you can have. I think grabbing McMillan, for the reason, look, and even having him as a third for a while, if you do keep Devontae
and he operates in the slot. He did, I think it was 60% of his snaps came in the slot over the past 2 years. So he knows how to play that. He can play he can take on the big slot role. So there's some versatility even with those 3. And then Malachi Corley as your 4th. You're not in bad shape. Again, that's assuming that Devontae Adams comes back.
Now, what are some guys that you think that Aaron Glenn might bring over? Every coach likes to grab a player or 2 from their cupboard. You see anybody coming from Detroit, Gunny or Dom, or either one of you have any ideas?
Yeah, shout out to Frankie in Flatbush. He had posted something on YouTube the other day where he listed all of Detroit's free agents, and he kind of check marked the guys that he think could come over. I don't remember any names off the top of my head. Carlton Davis, the cornerback, was one. One of the safeties was another one. I don't remember off the top of my head, but if you go to YouTube, you'll see it. Frankie kind of put that in a little message on YouTube.
Let me see here. Let me see. Oh, here it is. All right, so here's Frankie, our good buddy Frankie from Flatbush. Let's take a look here. Everybody should be subscribed to Frankie, by the way. Some of the best content out there. So this is what he did. Wait, where did it go? All right.
There it is, yeah.
All right, so what do you think of this list here, Dom?
Carlton Davis is a nice player. You're in need of a starting cornerback opposite of Sauce Gardner, unless, you think that Quantez Stiggers can challenge or JBC can challenge for that role. I think that's, he brings in an understanding of veteran presence, obviously very man coverage, press man related there. Levi Onwuzurike, he's a big, big beefy guy up front. I don't know who else has that. Marcus Davenport. He's a guy I've loved for a while. He's a guy that New Orleans drafted. They drafted him really early. They kind of reached on him. He didn't really develop. He went up to Minnesota and then to Detroit and started to have some good, putting together some good seasons, some good reps. But he's more of a rotational defensive pass rush specialist kind of guy. So I like that. Melifanu, the safety, I don't know much about him. I know the name. That's just about it. And Kaminsky's, again, another guy, another big, beefy, rotational defensive tackle in there, which we need. You're going to, regardless who's running the defense, who's calling the defense, who's scheming the defense, you're going to have a guy that can, take up some space and eat some blocks. And that's the one thing that I think that the Jets severely missed this year, and why our run defense was so putrid, is you didn't have that real dominant run stuffer. And it's funny because Saleh never really believed in that dominant run stuffer. Who was the guy he brought in a couple years back, had a great season, and then he went to Houston and then to Cincinnati. I can't think of his name. And 2 years ago, Christ almighty, I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
But the guys that lined up next to Quinnen ended up having really good seasons, except for Kinlaw had, hot and cold and probably more cold. So, you need some run stuffers. You need a big body in there.
Yep. Big fat fatties. That's
Bleeding Green. Thank you. Sheldon Rankins. That's it. I couldn't think of his name.
Yeah, there you go. I love fat fatties. I love space eaters. I love Vince Wilforks. I like them round. That's what I want. I want round space
eaters.
Yeah. That's what you want. You can try as you may, you're not moving them. He might not get all the penetration in the world, but you ain't moving him. That's what I want. Quinnen will get the penetration. We'll get the penetration on the outside. Just clog up the middle so nobody can go anywhere. That's what I want. Let the linebackers clean it up. We got to get back to mean, like aggressive linebacker play too. You think? I mean, look, Salah's back in San Francisco, as we learned, is likely, or that is that official? He is, right? Or
yeah, yep.
That's official. Salah's a DC again in San Francisco. Jeff Ulbricht is a DC back in Atlanta. One of those guys might want to grab Sherwood, and I think he'd be happy to go with the coaches that developed him.
I think he will. I think Atlanta's going to make a full court press for him because their linebacker core is depleted, and they need that. They need linebacker help, and you're bringing in a defense coordinator who watched this guy develop into arguably, what was he, 100 plus tackle guy this year?
Oh yeah.
Green dot, the whole nine. Calling the defense.
Yeah, he's a quality player.
Yeah,
I'll tell you guys this: if Sherwood doesn't get signed, he's going to San Francisco.
I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that too.
They got Fred Warner, right?
Yeah. Well, why not? But I'm with you. I think he would go with Ulbricht too in the same way. Ulbricht or Salah, our guys are out there, now. So you got to lock him up if you want him. Well, any good linebackers coming out that are worthy of a first round pick there, Dom? Would that surprise you?
There's linebackers that are available. There's two that I'm assuming will go in the first round. Jahad Campbell out of Alabama is a phenomenal player. Maybe not at 7, but like he's plug and play. You talk about a guy that's he looks like a linebacker, 6'3 and a half, 240. Plays physical, plays downhill, doesn't miss tackles. 2.5% missed tackle rate last year.
Yeah, that's what I want.
He can move too. He's for his size, he's still got that sideline to sideline. And then there's Jalen Walker, who is a big enigma. He's a ridiculously freak athlete, smaller, 6'2", 245. Some think that he's going to transition to being a full-time edge rusher. I think that he can play kind of like that Joker role, kind of like Micah Parsons, where sometimes it's linebacker, sometimes I'm blitzing up the middle, sometimes I'm outside the edge, but he's still a little bit raw, but the athleticism just jumps off the page.
What about
go ahead,
Demetrius Knight? How do you think about him? I like the guy's straight line speed. He's a twitchy, fast, straight line down the hill guy. So what do you think about him?
So it's funny because I just flagged him on my little spreadsheet because he's a guy that I haven't really broken down film, so I don't really have an opinion on him yet. Right. He will be at the Senior Bowl, so he's one of the guys. There's like 4 or 5 guys that I still haven't watched that I know that'll be down there. Some of the guys that are new and some of the guys that are just almost impossible to get film on. Gotcha. So Knight's one of the guys that I haven't really broke down, so I can make something up, but I don't want to do that.
Make it up.
Yeah, just wing it.
He sucks. No.
Yeah, 6'2", 245.
Yeah.
Runs a 4.62, so there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks pretty good. Anyway, I would see I love Sherwood and I love Quincy. One of the things that I find bothersome, and I think it was this defense, I like the linebackers to be heat-seeking missiles. I don't like. I see a lot more of this these days when linebackers break down, and they kind of wait. You know what I mean? And that's a sure tackling. I mean, I understand it. Believe me, I get it. But I like aggressive linebackers. Like when they identify the play, they shoot into there, whether it's to take on a block or to make the tackle. I like that. Meet the runner. Just meet him there. Don't break down and wait for him and make sure you're making the tackle. They get an extra 3-4 yards that way. And I hate it, and I see a lot of that. I see it around the NFL a lot more than I used to, but particularly on the Jets, I see it all the time. We kind of break down and wait for the tackle. I want to see aggression. I'd love to get back to that, where the linebacker, in my mind, linebackers are the meanest guys on the entire field.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
Well,
Linebackers are the mean ones.
the off-ball linebackers, for some reason, in this day and age, have become a secondary or tertiary need for a lot of these teams in terms of value. You know, they're right there. They're right there with like the tight ends and the safeties, where teams are like, we'll just put anybody there. You know, Detroit spent the first round pick, number 18 overall, a couple years ago on Jack Campbell out of Iowa.
Right. Yeah.
So again, if Glenn had, and I don't know if Glenn had any say in that, but if he did, maybe there is a tight end, that could be taken early in our future.
Or a linebacker, you mean? Yeah.
Or linebacker. That's what I meant. What I said.
Yeah.
I meant linebacker.
Yeah, I would like to see that. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, in this day and age, like, linebacker hasn't been like that sexy, like what you want to see them use at first. When years ago, it was like what you wanted. Get me a fucking middle linebacker, a beast,
Yeah, it's a different game though. Completely different game.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah. No, it is.
They were still lining up in the power eye and aiming for 3 yards of play, with fullbacks and bloody noses and shit like that.
Oh, I miss it. I love full contact.
The good old days.
Yeah, man. When football was football. Now, if you touch the quarterback, it's a flag. I just can't. You know what I mean? Sometimes I watch these games and I think to myself, why am I even watching anymore? I hate this fucking sport.
And then Sunday we're gonna get Buffalo and Kansas City. Wait, Kansas City gets every freaking call. If you look wrong at Patrick Mahomes, you're gonna get a flag. And then you get Buffalo, Josh Allen, and the rest of those guys. They're the biggest freaking floppers in the world. It's just like, come on, somebody hit.
Let me ask you. So there's two schools of thought here. One is you can't root for an AFC East team, right? You got to root for the Chiefs to beat the Bills. Mm-hmm. The other one is you hate the Chiefs, right? Let's end the Taylor Swift thing and the whole thing. And then wouldn't it be fun to watch Buffalo lose their 5th Super Bowl? You know what I mean? Like, so to root that way. Which way are you leaning, Gunny? You rooting against the Bills? I mean, I hate the Chiefs, but like, where are you on this game?
Yeah, I'm definitively, I hate the Chiefs. I hate the Dolphins. I hate the Patriots. I will never root for a single team in my division, ever. I want them to be on the couch watching the playoffs just like us. So I am going to root for the Chiefs. And I hate the Chiefs. I think they're trash. I think they're overrated. I think the referees have ruined what the Chiefs could potentially be. It was fun watching Patrick Mahomes the first couple of years, but since then, it's become Patrick Mahomes and refs. And I think they've kind of tainted the game a little bit, but that's okay. I'm going to still root for them to go ahead and beat the Bills. And then I'm going to root for the Commanders to win it all in the Super Bowl. Then we can watch the Chiefs lose the Super Bowl. I don't want to risk the Bills going to the Super Bowl and potentially winning it. I'm not risking that. I refuse to risk that.
And then the 2 weeks of Bills Mafia pre-Super Bowl bullshit.
Right? No.
Yeah,
no.
I hear you.
Can't do it.
I hear you. Dom, where are you on this?
I am right with Gunny. I cannot root for the Bills. I think the Bills are the better team. I'm not gonna lie.
I do.
I won't root for them.
Nope. Can't do it. Won't do it.
Yeah, it's funny for me. I'm the same way, by the way. I can't root for the Bills. I know if the Chiefs get in, I mean, I'd love to see I'd love to see some sort of passing of the torch to Jaden Daniels, because I do think that I'm doing it. The Redskins are going to beat the Eagles. I see it.
I did too. I already did it in my parlay. I did the same thing.
I think they're going to do it. I would love to see the NFL like embrace Jaden Daniels and kind of call the game more fairly. That bullshit this week when Patrick Mahomes was kind of running and then he just decided he was like about to be tackled and then he slides. Drops and they gave a flag and it was like a 3rd down. And I can't believe what we're watching.
The phantom hit to the head that never happened, roughing the passer call when it was on 3rd down again. Like they killed the entire momentum of that game. It was brutal to watch, and it became abundantly clear, like, okay, the NFL clearly wants to create the next Patriots dynasty here. You can't argue it. So Again, I hate it. I hate the Chiefs, and I love Andy Reid, and I've actually enjoyed watching Patrick Mahomes play football. Like, if you love football, you've enjoyed it the first couple of years, but the last couple of years, nah, bro. Last couple of years, they've created enemies out of NFL football fans. They've created enemies. So
did you
I
see
wanna
the
them lose.
Belichick? Did you see the Belichick with the Manning brothers thing when Taylor Swift came on the screen? Did you see that clip?
I did not see that one.
Oh,
no.
it's fucking hilarious. So they're like watching the game, and then Belichick's talking, and then they show Taylor Swift, and he just goes, "Ugh."
That's literally every single person who watches football.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like,
just
oh,
got-
again.
this again. Yeah.
And then we got to watch Kelsey flip his hair, and it's like, oh, what is this? Like, what are we watching here anymore, man?
It's still
crazy.
it's still worth watching if it means that we get to soak up some of those Buffalo Bills tears.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
I just want them at home watching the game like the rest of us in the AFC East. I want them where they belong, on the couch right next to us, watching the Super
couch.
Bowl. I don't want them in the Super Bowl. Sorry, can't do it.
I'm with it. Bearded wants to know, what do you think about Kelvin Banks? Is he can he switch to right tackle? You think?
Yeah, I think he can switch to right tackle. I think he's probably going to be I could see him falling in line of. I'm not comparing their games or anything like that, but kind of like Mekhi Becton, where you're going to want to try him at tackle. He's got the length, he's got the athleticism, but I think ultimately he's going to find his home is inside at guard. Just a little too, he's big and he knows how to play with leverage. There's something about him that just, not to mention that both him and Cam Williams, the right tackle for Texas, led the nation in penalties. I think he had 13 holding penalties by himself. Kelvin Banks, needs to, kind of tune up some of the hand positioning and, where he goes in with those hands. He's real wide. He's going to let defensive ends get in on his body. Not too good. Listen, he'll go in the first round. He's not my favorite prospect. Definitely not at 7. You want to talk 27? Okay, maybe.
Yeah, gotcha. I know that's the thing. I'd be all on board for the Jets just to fix, just finish the offensive line, but not just for the sake of doing it. It's got to be the right guy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And you could probably find that guy in the 3rd, 4th round.
The strength of this class on the offensive line, both interior and at tackle. There's not many really kick-ass tackles. I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of good college tackles that are going to move to guard in the NFL. There's a ton of those guys, and I think that's where the happy spot is right in rounds 2 and 3.
There you go, Bearded. Wyatt checking in. I must be a fake fan. The Bills are my favorite. Other than Wyatt, I know,
son of a.
It's like my brother-in-law up in Brooklyn. He's a diehard Giants fan, but he's got a man crush on Josh Allen. He's like, I love him. He just wants to watch him. I think his wife, my sister, bought him a shirt that says like, I love Josh Allen or some shit.
What the?
He's a full-on man crush. He loves him. Look, if you're just a fan, right? Like a football fan, you don't have any emotions to dude, Josh Allen is a badass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal.
He's phenomenal. He is. It sucks to have to admit that, because we just dealt with the Tom Brady bullshit for freaking 2 damn decades, and then this dude comes into the fold, and he's the best quarterback in the league right now. I'm sorry. People are talking about Patrick Mahomes, Lamar.
If they're going to talk about Lamar Jackson, I think you can make an argument, but I'd still take. If I have to choose one to start my team today, I'm choosing Josh Allen.
It's Josh Allen. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks, man. This is the division. We've had Peyton Manning, fucking Dan Marino, Tom Brady. It's like
never us. It's never us, but it's everyone else in the division.
Nope, we can't figure it out. Well, because we had 7 offensive coordinators in 10 years. So, we had to think about it. We drafted 2 top 3 picks in that time. And they played, like, Sammy had, 3 offenses when he was here?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. Like, how
Zach
you expect
2, right? Zach had what?
Zach had 2.
Yeah, Zach had 2. Sam had 3.
2 offenses. Nate Hackett was his offense. It's like, dude,
Martini Nate, man. Martini Nate. Unbelievable.
Jesus. Guys, I'll remind you, about the sponsor of the video. Gunny's talking about parlays.
Yeah, buddy.
This might be the week to do it, man. Take advantage of this offer, 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. 150% bonus on $2,000. That's a lot of extra money. And dude, I'm just saying, there's a couple wagers that look pretty strong. If you believe in the NFL's love affair with the Chiefs, and I'm telling you right now, the Eagles, they look sloppy, and the Commanders look like they are on fire. So I don't know. Might be the week to do it. All you got to do is use the promo code YouTube150, everybody. That's all you got to do. And it also gets you a 125% bonus on your next two deposits up to $2,000. Thank you to BetUS for hanging out on the Thursday thick of it. Guys, let's do our little final thoughts here. How you feeling? I mean, do you think we're going to pick the right offensive coordinator, Dom? I mean, is this it? Did we do the right thing here? How are you feeling overall for real?
Listen, I've accepted. I'm in a place of acceptance right now with the Jets head coach. Again, wouldn't have been the way or the vision that I would have had, or I would have built this coaching staff, but that's what they did. So now I'm just going to, kind of be a little bit reserved in my judgment and see how the cards fall and see how this staff gets built. So it's a lot of words to really not say much.
Yeah, I think I got it though. I feel pretty good too. It's exciting. Bring him, it's like he's our guy. Feel good times, I really hope we get the right an offensive coordinator that excites us. Gunny, how you feeling overall, man? Like for real?
No, I think overall in terms of this round of options, right? In terms of head coaches, you got one of the top candidates. You got one of the top guys. I know some individuals, what I'm saying, like you, GreenBean, you wanted Brian Flores. I would have felt very similar to bringing in a guy like a Brian Flores. I think I would have still been a little bit more cautious or concerned about the kind of coaching staff he could bring to the table, just based off of how he's kind of radioactive right now in the NFL. That would have concerned me. So I think Aaron Glenn can potentially bring a better staff around him. But we got to see it, right? It's all, we hope, we think he can, but we got to see it. I do like Steve Wilks potentially being the defensive coordinator. I would love Gary Kubiak. I really would. I'd love Gary Kubiak. I'd love Josh McCown. I think at this point
Clint
now, I'd love
Kubiak. Clint
his
son.
Sorry. Right.
Clint Kubiak.
Yeah. Make sure.
If we get the right coaching staff in the building, and again, I'm not saying this just because I'm a Jets fan. I really believe the impact of having grown-ups in the building to lead this team, we could see a complete 180 of what we were expecting last year. I'm not going into the season thinking Super Bowl or AFC Championship. I'm hoping for wild card. I'm looking at wild card now, and that's my goal for this season. But it wouldn't surprise me if they get into the dance and they catch a spark, and then things can happen. But you got to get there. I think the coaching staff is going to dictate whether or not we get there. Aaron Glenn is a great start. Steve Wilks is a good start. The offensive coordinator to me is going to be so important because, again, we haven't seen a 21st century offense in the New York Jets organization this century, and we just haven't seen it. And I think we're well overdue. So the offense is going to be key. The defense can be great, right? We've seen what a great defense looks like for the Jets the last couple of years before. It didn't meet 7 wins. It equated to 7 wins. It's still trash. So we need the offense to be firing on all cylinders. That offensive coordinator position, in all actuality, is probably going to be just as important as the hiring of Aaron Glenn. So that's what I'm waiting on and seeing who they bring in. But overall, I'm happy with the start of Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilks.
Yeah, I feel pretty good too. Why not, man? Why not, everybody? Let's get this going. Be excited for our guys because coaching was the big issue last year. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. Just so you guys know, both Gunny's channels and Dom C's channel, Gunny's channel and Twitter, and Dom's Twitter and YouTube are in the top of this description of this video. Make sure to give them your support. They've earned it, damn it. They deserve it, and it's quality shit. So, and by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe right here if you haven't done that yet. Greatly appreciated. And once again, I want to thank BetUS for hanging out with us. It's good times, guys. Good times. We're heading into draft season. Don't get caught up in all the stories. Dom said it earlier. We're entering smoke screen season, everybody. You can't fall to pieces over every story that comes out. All of it's bullshit.
That's right.
And it's by design. So it's going to be fun. With that all said, thanks, Gunny. Thanks, Dom, for hanging out. And we will see you guys next time. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, here we come, baby. Here we come. Here come the Jets, man.
I want to kiss you.
Thanks, Joe.
You want to run or you want to duck down? You want to duck, just go over and get onto the bench and stay there.
You play to win the game.
My message for the fans, we're all frustrated with where we are right now.
Jets, Jets, Jets.